Do you ever feel like your mind is playing tricks on you? That, despite your best intentions, you make decisions that you know aren't the right ones. It's not just you, it's the brain working against you. Without even realizing it, your mind can be influenced by invisible forces that shape every decision, big and small. What if I told you that there are biases in your thinking so powerful that they control your choices without you even knowing it? These biases are so deeply ingrained in human nature that they can ruin your life if left unchecked. Let me show you how understanding them can free you from these mental traps. The author behind these shocking revelations is Daniel Kahneman, a Nobel laureate in economics whose work has changed the way we understand human behavior. In his groundbreaking book Thinking, Fast and Slow, Kahneman uncovers the two systems of thought that drive our decisions: the fast, automatic system and the slow, deliberate one. These systems are often at odds with each other, and it's the fast one that often leads us astray. This book dives deep into the reasons why our brains make irrational decisions and how understanding these processes can help us avoid the mental pitfalls that lead to poor judgment. Kahneman's work in Thinking, Fast and Slow reveals that we, as humans, are constantly at the mercy of biases and mental shortcuts that cloud our judgment. The book shows that our thoughts aren't always as rational as we believe they are. Through cognitive biases, illusions of understanding, and emotional influences, we are led to believe things that simply aren't true. This video is an exploration of those very biases, focusing on how they shape our behavior and decisions in both personal and professional life. By understanding these mental traps, you can break free from them and start making better, more informed choices. 1. Cognitive biases. Cognitive biases are systematic patterns of deviation from norm or rationality in judgment, whereby inferences about other people and situations may be drawn in an illogical fashion. These biases are mental shortcuts, or heuristics, that allow us to make quick decisions without expending too much cognitive energy. While they are useful for navigating daily life efficiently, they often lead to flawed judgments. Take confirmation bias, for example. This bias makes us favor information that supports our existing beliefs, often disregarding any conflicting evidence. For instance, if someone believes a particular political ideology, they are more likely to seek out and accept news stories or opinions that confirm their views while dismissing opposing arguments as biased or invalid. This distortion of reality can prevent us from seeing the full picture and cause decisions to be based on partial or misleading data. Another well-known bias is anchoring, which occurs when we rely too heavily on the first piece of information we encounter, the anchor, when making a decision. This could be as simple as looking at an expensive product first and then evaluating a cheaper item as a better deal, even if it's still overpriced compared to its actual value. These biases, while efficient in terms of time and effort, are often dangerous because they lead us to jump to conclusions too quickly or make decisions based on insufficient or inaccurate data. Recognizing and countering these biases is essential for making more rational, effective decisions in both our personal and professional lives. 2. The illusion of knowledge. The illusion of knowledge refers to the phenomenon where a person believes they understand an issue, even when their actual understanding is limited or shallow. This is a form of overconfidence bias and arises from the natural human tendency to believe they know more than they actually do. When exposed to a certain amount of information, we tend to think we've mastered a subject, even if that information is incomplete or lacks full context. For example, a person reading a few articles on economics might begin to believe they have in-depth knowledge of the field. However, they may not realize that these articles only provide a small part of the overall picture, and there are still many complex aspects they don't fully grasp. This can lead to poor decisions, such as making financial investments based on superficial knowledge rather than seeking expert advice. The illusion of knowledge is particularly dangerous because it leads people to make decisions based on incomplete or distorted knowledge. They may become overly confident in their ability to assess situations, leading them to overlook important data or fail to consider opposing viewpoints. This can affect many areas of life, from business and investments to crucial personal decisions. To counteract this bias, it is important to cultivate intellectual humility, the awareness that there is always more to learn than we think. Actively seek more information, consult multiple sources, and don't be afraid to question what we believe to be true. 3. Prospect theory. Prospect theory is a groundbreaking concept developed by Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, explaining how people make decisions in situations involving risk and uncertainty. This theory highlights an important irrationality in how we assess risk. People tend to fear loss more than they value an equivalent gain. In other words, the pain of losing $100 is much stronger than the pleasure of gaining the same amount. This asymmetry significantly influences human decision-making behavior. For example, if given two choices, Option A, guaranteed $500. Option B, 50% chance of winning $1,000, but also a 50% chance of getting nothing. Most people would choose Option A, even though Option B has the same expected value. This reflects a preference for risk aversion when facing potential gains. Conversely, when facing the possibility of a loss, people tend to take on more risk. For instance, if given the choice between Option C, sure loss of $500, Option D, 50% chance of losing $1,000, but also a 50% chance of losing nothing, most people would choose Option D, even though the risk of losing more money is higher. This shows that people are willing to accept risk to avoid a certain loss. Understanding prospect theory helps us recognize when the fear of loss is overly influencing our decisions. This awareness enables us to assess risk more rationally rather than being driven by emotions. 4. The influence of emotions. Emotions play a crucial role in decision-making and can sometimes completely override rational thinking. Daniel Kahneman points out that emotions can control our thoughts, leading us to make quick decisions without thoroughly analyzing the situation. This is especially true in stressful situations where strong emotions like anger, fear, or excitement can result in impulsive decisions. For example, when angry, people tend to overreact, which may lead to unintended consequences. When anxious, we may avoid risk altogether, even when a little risk could bring positive outcomes. On the other hand, excitement may lead us to overestimate the chances of success and make hasty decisions. Emotions also interact with cognitive biases, amplifying the distortions in our judgment. When worried about a financial decision, we may be influenced by risk aversion bias, which causes us to miss out on good investment opportunities. When overly confident, we may misjudge the success potential of a business plan or project. To improve decision-making, we need to learn how to manage and recognize the impact of emotions. One effective way is to practice slower thinking, avoiding quick decisions when strong emotions are at play. By taking time to reflect and consider the situation from multiple angles, we can reduce the negative impact of emotions and make more thoughtful choices. 5. Memory and experience. Memory and past experiences deeply affect how we make decisions. Kahneman introduced the peak end rule, which states that people don't evaluate an experience based on the entire process, but mainly on its peak moments and how it ends. For example, if a vacation goes smoothly but ends with an unfortunate incident, like losing luggage or having an unpleasant experience on the last day, our memory of the entire trip may become more negative than it actually was. Conversely, if a mediocre experience ends on a high note, we tend to rate it more positively. This distortion can influence future decisions. A person who had a bad experience with a particular brand or location may avoid it in the future, even if the majority of their prior experiences were positive. This also applies to major decisions like job choices, investments, or personal relationships. Being aware of the impact of memory helps us evaluate experiences more objectively. By remembering that memories can be skewed by extreme moments, we can approach decisions with a more comprehensive view and avoid letting emotions from isolated events overly influence us. So, what does all of this mean for you? The good news is that by understanding these biases and mental shortcuts, you can begin to counteract them in your own life. By recognizing when your fast-thinking brain is at work, you can force yourself to slow down and engage your more deliberate, thoughtful system. This awareness allows you to make decisions that are not just driven by emotion or bias, but by logic and reason. It's about becoming more mindful of the way you think and being willing to challenge your own assumptions. What biases have you noticed in your own life? Have you ever found yourself making decisions based on emotions or snap judgments? Let's talk about it in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with others who could benefit from understanding how cognitive biases influence their lives. Together, let's break free from the traps of biased thinking and create a better, more rational future.